I think this is the thing that a lot of people are it's lost on a lot of people. And it's that you don't have to have the best idea to get started. And prime example for me, when I decided to actually get started in like building my own personal brand for socials, it was last year actually, right? And a lot of people they look at all of the things that I've built, they look at my setup and they're like, "Wait, so you just decided randomly to just drop a bunch of money?" No, I did not, right? Like the reality is I have acquired a lot of the things that I have over time because I've actually worked in this industry for a long time. Right? Like I've worked for companies like Google, like Facebook, working on their Oculus project. I've worked with developing and running content teams for Amazon, specifically working on social strategy for different parts of Amazon and global social strategy. And that's not like a pat on the back of like, oh yeah, I know everything. The reality is I don't, right? And that's why experimentation is so important because for me, I have spent a lot of time working with big brands, working with known brands, which realistically is a lot easier, right? Because people are already known. Going from 0 to 1 is a lot harder. So I wanted to experiment on creating my own brand. So last year, literally last year, this isn't like and I'm talking 2024, right? Depending on when you're watching this could be a different time. But for 2024, it's currently 2025. And I literally started midway through the year. I decided to start a TikTok channel, and later, I want to say like 2 months later, I started a Twitch channel, and then I rebranded a YouTube channel that wasn't being used. And I managed to go from July at 0 to having over 100,000 followers across those three platforms, right? The biggest one being TikTok, by creating gaming content, something that I was already interested in. And a lot of it was just clips of me gaming, clips of me interacting with the game, or clips of me educating about different parts of the game that people had questions around. And I just like looked online, what are people asking questions about, and then figure out the answer to that. It's not like I always had the answer off the top. I would just go research the answer and then create content to solve a problem. And that was the value that I was adding. And specifically, it was like this one game, First Descendant, that realistically just had very little documentation at coming out of the gate. They just weren't really good at telling people how to play the game, what to do in the game, and what was the purpose of the game. So that is like the niche that I fell into. For 2025, this year, I'm looking at kind of shifting that narrative. And I'm still going to continue to do like the gaming content, the gaming related content for different games. But I also want to experiment on, okay, how do you build a channel from scratch? So we'll be creating a new channel that's specifically focused on kind of this, like this kind of 0 to 1 conversations around tips for small creators, tips for medium creators, tips for, corporate creators. Because again, the thing about being in my space is you get to rub elbows with a lot of really amazing people. And now that I'm working also as an individual with like the DGM, like Demigod Moki brand, as a personal thing, not the work that I do for for the big corporations. I get to interact with individuals, with influencers that true like influencers in different spaces that have their own ways of doing things, that have been successful in their own ways. And at work, in my core function, I get to rub elbows with some of the biggest brains that you could ever meet, that you will never meet, right? That most people would never meet. But I sit next to them, I interact with them, I have weekly meetings with them where I'm learning so much from them. And yeah, I get paid to know and learn as much as possible about the social algorithm, the changes, the updates, constantly being updated on what's happening as far as trends, as far as understanding how to assign value to trends as it relates to our brand, all of these types of things. And I know this could be like overkill for most people, but I still think that there's such a wealth of knowledge here that I have access to, not just from my own experience, but again, being able to interact with all of these amazing, amazing minds. And I will continue to meet more people throughout my journey. So that is what this channel is going to be focused on, right? This channel is going to be focused on how do I start to share knowledge around social, around how to capitalize on personal brand, how to build personal branding, What should you be creating? And I'm not going to be telling you those things for your individual brands because that's ridiculous. But I will be giving like tips and tricks on what, how you should be driving value in your content, whatever value that is, right? It could be educational value, it could be entertainment value, it could be, humor value. Like people just like to laugh. And we'll be like meeting different people. I'll like try to get other people on so that we can kind of just chat with them and get like their tips. So it's not just you trying to listen to me because I just listed a bunch of qualifications. No, it's you being able to have access to people that, again, you probably would not have access to, but I do. And I wanted to say, okay, I think there's value there. So for 2025, we're going to experiment and we're going to be building this out. We're going to be building content around this. And that's what DGM Social is. DGM Social is how do we spread more awareness around tips and tricks on building social brands from the, Joe Schmo that just wants to have some followers and wants to have their stream kick off to the corporate social person that has a lot of questions around how do we onboard an influencer vendor, or how do you like structure out a bidding strategy for Facebook ads. Like all of these things are small little minute things that we kind of deal with on a day-to-day basis. Should you be promoting your content? Should you just focus on all organic? What does that actually mean? Is this a pay to play, system? All of these kind of questions that we can just work through as a community. And that's what this DGM Social is about. It's about that kind of conversation. So if you're interested in growing your channel, if you're interested in being a influencer, if you're interested in building your career in corporate social, then this is a channel that I think you want to bookmark. You want to smash that follow, hit the subscribe button, and we're going to be in for a wild ride with a lot of really great information over the next year and beyond. And then we're going to then do a retro of, okay, we started a gaming channel where we focused on one of our passions. We started a social channel that focuses on elaborating and educating on the space that we've built our career around. And we can start to pull apart these threads and find the connecting fibers on what exactly makes good social, right? So that's what this channel is about. I hope you find value in it. I hope you guys have a good time and really really start to see the value in what we're creating here. But anyway, so DGM Social on all channels. Well, actually, it's going to be DGM Social on TikTok, on Instagram, and on YouTube. And we will decide later in the year, depending on how much traction we get, if we're going to implement any kind of live streaming for kind of chatting through this stuff. But for the most part, it'll be content, on-demand content where you can go in and watch videos on specific topics, and you can provide your recommendations or questions around what topics you would like to hear about from me and from potential guests that we have in the future. So that's all for this one. DGM here. See you on the next one.